to host this OFAB, this OMAS, let's abbreviate it, physically, after the last time we met physically in 2019 in Mombasa. So today, it is a joy and a happiness to see journalists from across Africa gathered in this room today. And when the Master of Ceremony said that the ED is applauding, it is because for you to be here today, it is already that you have won. I send a message of goodwill and appreciation for the game-changing work that you are doing to break down agricultural biotechnology information into palatable messages, informations that can go to the farmers, to the policymakers, and that can help them improve their practices in agriculture, but also the practices in transforming the policies and regulatory framework in the countries that would now allow the technology to be adopted. It is through the work you do, through the work we do together, that the understanding and acceptance of biotechnology needed to transform African agriculture for food security, for sustainable development, and poverty eradication is actually happening. So you are champions in making that possible, and I want to congratulate you. I note OMAS twin objectives. The first one being to promote excellence in science journalism and appreciate journalists' contribution to agricultural biotechnology. That is what we will do this evening by giving a award to some of you because of the distinguished work they have done. But also OMAS celebrates the critical role journalists play in promoting constructive dialogue on modern technology, biotechnology, through responsible, professional, ethical, and effective reporting. Science reporting is quite complicated, quite complex, but it is something which is very useful, very much needed, and I would say it is even more relevant today because we live in times when agricultural production challenges continue to stifle agricultural productivity. Without food security, our continent becomes porous and susceptible to many other crises. For instance, agricultural production challenges such as changing climate, escalating conflict, and unproductive farming have compounded the food crisis problem in Africa. Therefore, communication is vital in reaching out to the masses to enlighten them on various technologies they can tap into to promote food security. Food insecurity is the #1 threat to the economic growth of the economy. Actually, it is also a threat to the security in general. As we stand here, an estimated 346 million people in Africa are affected by the food crisis. And at 23.4%, the prevalence of severe food insecurity in Africa is double the world average of 11.7%. And yet, we all recognize that Africa has the potential to produce food not only for Africans, but also for the world. So if you have that potential and still produce much less and are food insecure, there is a problem that we need to address as one of the key priorities. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, The media's role is essential in highlighting these challenges and communicating the solutions that our scientists are developing. Agricultural biotechnology is one of the technologies that needs concerted efforts for promotion because it suffers from unwarranted criticisms. OFAB, through the media, helps in dispelling misinformation and propaganda on biotechnology by providing science-based evidence. OFAB further engage farmers, policymakers, and scientists in discussion to integrate biotechnology in the development framework of the African countries. Central to the misinformation on GMO is the question of safety and environmental sustainability. Science is replete with information that GMO are safe for consumption and use. OFAB engages with the media and policymakers to ensure that the information supports development and deployment of these technologies in the African continent. There is global scientific consensus on the safety of GM crops and their benefits to the people by reducing hunger and poverty among smallholder farmers in developing countries, including those in sub-Saharan Africa, and lessening the environmental impact of agriculture by cutting pesticide use. However, those opposed to the adoption of GM crops continue to peddle lies about the technology, and hence we have seen low adoption of modern technologies. Journalists need to expound on the evidence generated by social and natural scientists' perspective about GM crops to the global community, to the farmers, to the land, and decision makers should be cautious that the technology still has not reached all the farmers in some African countries due to political opposition, while others, such as Nigeria, are tapping into the benefit of those same technologies. Allow me to applaud the position taken by the network of African academies for endorsing the safety of genetically modified crop for human consumption and use at their meeting of 30th November 2022 in Nairobi, Kenya. It is important that journalists convey such endorsement of GMs to the public so that people know that there is no credibility in the messages that come from those who oppose the application of the technologies, most of the time without convincing data and evidence. Media should contribute, and contributes a lot, to the creation of an enabling environment for agricultural biotechnology by being the conveyor belt of the needs of the farmers and necessary technological policy interventions that are needed. Effective communication is central to improving diversity and inclusion problems inherent in science. Without effective communication, gatekeeping will persist, and barriers will continue to exclude people from understanding science. Journalists are most effective in communicating science in a policy context to get the message to broader audiences affecting or affected by policy making. In addition, such communication is necessary to building support for the uptake of scientific evidence in policy making, to inform people about how the science behind the policies impacts their lives, and to improve public understanding of science. Communication must stop being a mere afterthought and must instead be a joint venture of scientists, researchers, communicators, and policymakers right from the start. Going forward, we hope that the journalists featured at today's OFAB Media Awards will continue to report accurately and deeper to correct the misinformation about biotechnology. Their contribution will foster a better understanding of the technology, going a long way in enhancing public understanding while tapping into the opportunities that biotechnology presents. They all must celebrate the critical role played by journalists in promoting constructive dialogue on modern biotechnology through responsible, professional, ethical, and effective reporting. The media, in this case, helps to achieve OFAB's objective of enhancing public understanding and acceptance of agricultural biotechnologies needed to transform African agriculture for food security, sustainable development, and poverty eradication. I congratulate all participants in anticipation with eagerness as we find out who among you has won in the various categories. I also tell everyone who participated in these contests that each one of us is a winner in many ways. And I congratulate you very sincerely. Lastly, allow me to congratulate the organizing team for the event. Most importantly, I want to recognize the leadership of Dr. Jean-Baptiste Tignegre, the AATF West Africa representative, and the OFAB project manager, Mr. Vitumbiko Chinoko. Your respective teams have delivered a beautiful event for this evening. And we are yet to see the rest of the steps and episodes which are still hidden behind that curtain. So have a great evening. Congratulations to your excellencies, and God bless you. You're welcome.
Please do give him another round of applause, please. Thank you very much, our dear AATF Executive Director, Dr. Canisius Kanagiri. Thank you very much. And just while he spoke, we had joining us the Director General, CEO of NABDA. That's NABDA, of course, plays a major role here in Nigeria. I'm talking of the National Biotechnology Development Agency. He is here with us. Please, welcome to Professor Abdullahi Mustafa. He'll be speaking very shortly. Please, a round of applause. Thank you very much for being here, sir. But also here with us is someone who's done a lot, especially for the Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology. Ms. Nancy Mudiri is here with us, and it's good to see her again. Very, very hardworking woman. She is an African woman that embodies strength, embodies character and resilience. Thank you very much for all you do. Please give her another round of applause. I also want to quickly recognize Dr. Olusegun Phillips Ojo, Director General, National Agricultural Seed Council, is represented, I'm told, by Dr. Khalil Ishak, Director, Seed Certification and Quality Control. Thank you very much for being here. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you. And we're glad we also have here with us, he's His Excellency, the High Commissioner of the Republic of Rwanda in Nigeria, His Excellency Ambassador Stanislas Kamanzi. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for being here. And let me see if I can twist my tongue to greet you in your language. Yakubwa Ambassadori Muhauro Neza. How much mark did I get? 7/10. That's A. Thank you. Please do give him another round of applause. Thank you for being here, sir. We appreciate you. And I'm told we'll have the Honorable Minister of Health, of Ministry of Environment, Federal Ministry of Environment. I'm told he will be joining us soon, probably represented by his permanent secretary, and we would expect to see them. It's now time, shall we, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome the Director General CEO of NABDA, Professor Abdullahi Mustafa, who himself is a very strong proponent of ensuring that not just Nigeria is fed, but Africa is fed. Welcome, Professor Abdullahi Mustafa, with a round of applause. DG, sir, you're welcome. Good to see you again. How about you? Very well.
His Excellency, the Ambassador of Rwanda, the Executive Director, African Agricultural Technology Foundation, the DG National Agricultural Seed Council, represented heavily here, the Vice Chancellor, Federal University Kashari, Professor Umar Pate, the All African Farmers Association of Nigeria President, the Sunflower Association President, Mrs. Nancy, Mrs. Eugenia Abu, OFAB coordinators, my good friend Bitu, all distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I skipped my other good friend, John the Baptist. I can see you. Good evening. It is my pleasure and my joy today knew no bound when I got the message that this year's edition of Open Forum for Agricultural Biotechnology Media Award will be held here in Nigeria. OFAB in Nigeria is a household, and it's a household name, especially in the media space, and it is now synonymous with biotechnology and genetically modified organisms, as it has become a national rallying point for information and education about the technology. OFAB Nigeria chapter has recorded tremendous milestone in creating the necessary awareness and championing the education of policymakers, professional bodies, civil society group, teachers, students, and of course farmers, extension workers, and the public on the benefit of this biotechnology. OFAB activities in Nigeria were made easy by the open door policy of government and her determination to ensure that Nigeria takes advantage of the technology to better the lives of its citizens, especially farmers, and the challenges of productivity. The federal government of Nigeria is bold about its commitment to deploy science and technology as one of the anchors of the nation's quest to accelerate its development. To demonstrate how committed Nigeria is, the government, first of all, established the National Biotechnology Development Agency in 2001 under the aegis of Federal Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation to carry out well-focused research and development in biotechnology in priority areas of food and agriculture, health, industry, environment, and other strategic sectors for national development, and drew up programs and policies for biotechnology utilization, research, and development in the country. NAFDA became mandated to promote sustenance in development and application of acceptable and profitable technologies through strategic investment in biotechnology research and development to support innovation and economic development and ensure Nigeria becomes self-reliant in the development and application of biotechnology-based products and services. After realizing that regulatory framework was needed in order to reap the benefit of its technology for the enhancement of the economy, the government also went ahead to establish the National Biosafety Management Agency to ensure an adequate level of protection in the field of safe transfer, handling, and use of genetically modified organisms resulting from modern biotechnology and other new and emerging technologies that may have adverse effect on the conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity, considering risks to human health, animals, plants, and also environment. The National Biosafety Management Agency is mandated to ensure biosecurity, which includes measures to prevent, respond, and recover harmful biological substances that may threaten the health of human, animals, the environment, and also, by extension, the economy. With this solid foundation that provides institutional and regulatory framework for the deployment of biotechnology in the country, and coupled with the sensitization and awareness created by Open Forum for Agricultural Biotechnology, our Agricultural Research Institute responded positively. And that has put us on course to resuscitating our moribund industries as raw materials are now coming from the farms. Today, our farmers are celebrating the release of BT cotton and PBR cowpea, both being products of modern biotechnology practice in the country to address the challenges of insect and pest infestation leading to low yield, droughts, soil infertility, and climate change effect faced by the farmers. Now, they are now experiencing 20 to 25% yield increase, a reduction of chemical sprays by around 8 to 10 times down to around 2 to 3 times. Therefore, the initiative by African Agricultural Technology Foundation in 2017 tagged OFAB Media Awards with the main aim of recognizing exemplary journalism that stimulate best practices in the adoption of agricultural technology, particularly agricultural biotechnology that brings to bear the critical role the media plays in educating and informing the public about agricultural technologies, and which holds annually has endeared the media to us and made them our strong allies by amplifying our messages to the public. The mystery behind OFAB being a household name in Nigeria. This event today gives us another opportunity to appreciate our journalists Africa-wide for their contributions to deepening the understanding of biotechnology usage in agriculture among our people, especially at this time in our continent, and when the need for food and nutritional security is more important than ever. Permit me to thank the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Program for Biosafety System, the Global Alliance for Science, and other partners for their cooperation and partnership that has enabled us to serve our people effectively. And I would like to say thank you, one and all, for your attention and wishing us a successful celebration. I am optimistic that Nigeria will win the overall prize today, as it happens 2017 in Uganda. The giant of Africa remain the giant. I pray so.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for the Director General. And I don't know how many people said amen to his prayer. Probably only Nigerians said amen. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. We'll just say, may the best man win, or the best woman win. Please do give him another round of applause. Professor Abdullahi Mustafa, Director General of NAFDA. Thank you very much. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we'll take another goodwill message, but let me quickly recognize a distinguished personality who's been following this program and continues to do so, although he's not here, but I believe he will be following also online. I'm talking of Mr. Brantley Brownie. Please do give him a round of applause. Senior Program Officer, thank you very much for all you do. Africa appreciates you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hear goodwill remark from the High Commissioner of the Republic of Rwanda in Nigeria. I'm sure that by now he probably speaks one or two Nigerian languages. Well, I'll leave him to do that. If you require an interpreter, I'll get one for you. Please welcome His Excellency Ambassador Stanislas Kamanzi. A round of applause is appropriate. And take a look at him. He does also, he's getting to look like a Nigerian already. Rwanda is not too far away. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much. Honorable ministers, ably represented here, senior officials of the federal government of Nigeria here present, including the Director General of NAFTA, who has just addressed us, the ED, AFT, my dear friend, Dr. Kanangire Canisius, ladies and gentlemen in attendance, it's a great honor for me to be given this opportunity to address you. I wish I could have done this in either languages of this dear land that hosts us, but I have to confess that I haven't progressed very much, except in Pidgin. I can hear, but I can't talk. Except for a word I learned this morning, which is flex. Yes. So I think tonight we're doing strong flex in the promotion of biotech. Yeah. On a more serious note, I wish to use this opportunity to sincerely applaud the advocates of biotechnology to support, to back up agriculture, to back up the emergence of agriculture as a sector we indeed rely upon in Africa, in our respective countries, but also globally. You all know how much the world got shaken at the start of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, whereby it became evident that food was lacking all over, and that maybe we hadn't done enough to be sure that in such situations we'll be able to provide palliatives to situations, to crises that affect our daily lives. I have to say that I have been among those, I guess, due to the influence of the media. Once again, it's good that tonight we are celebrating the media as a channel to inform the world, but I must tell you that the media have worked to the contrary, actually informing, educating all of us to be wary about GMOs, to the extent that anytime I would travel to, to Western countries and having, as part of my breakfast, an apple or any of those good fruits they avail at breakfast, my major concern would be, am I consuming healthy stuff? So, and I must say that the time I got to know that biotechnology has actually evolved to be a tool to even avoid what we fear, it comforted me a great deal and made me feel like I'm a victim, like many of, well, not you because we are here being informed about the good news, but I'm one of many, I was many of, one of many of, many people across the world who haven't been informed about what biotechnology has to offer in terms of providing how do I put it? Let me simplify it. Say, for instance, seeds for various crops, which would guarantee productivity which we need, which also would guarantee safety against what we've been fearing. On even like this one, I believe we need to vote to be sure that the news get widely broadcast. It's essential. It doesn't. We need to be sure that it doesn't remain the preserve of the source. I mean, of scientists and well-educated, well-educated politicians, and so it has to be brought down to the masses, who, by the way, are the ones are contributing to food production and to food security at large. I asked a while ago Dr. Kanangire whether, where we are, for instance, at the level of the African Union, whether our heads of state have been well informed about what we're talking about this evening, and have been ready to make a decision to kickstart within, under their supervision, efforts by their agencies and research teams to be sure that we transition from ordinary farming to this game-changing pathway to realize profitable and easy agriculture, if I may put it that way. He told me that, it is still underway, which brings me to maybe not propose, but to speak aloud that we have to go an extra mile to advocate for policymakers, for policy influencers, to be sure that this is taken to another level, whereby our top leaders embrace it and turn to be a tool to support their national policies for food production and food security. So since my message was a goodwill message, I wish to wish you good continuation of the good job you're doing. I wish to tell the media people, ladies and gentlemen, to keep up the good work, to inform our communities, to inform our farmers, to inform the consumers that actually we are safer from more than one perspective in adopting biotechnology and, to a wider extent, the use of GMOs in, in our practices as a best practice, and to ensure that it's embraced widely, doesn't remain the preserve, as I said, of a few informed industrial farmers or research institutions. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I wish you a wonderful evening. Thank you. Nagode.
Thank you. Nagode. Yeah, you just said Nagode. I can't believe it. Please, another round of applause for His Excellency. He just told me Nagode, and that was good. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Your Pidgin English flexing, by the way, for those who don't know what it means. Flexing means enjoy yourself, relax and enjoy yourself. And when you come to Nigeria and they tell you in Pidgin English, bros or sister, try to flex, they are telling you just calm down and enjoy yourself. You win the match, you lose the match, flex. You win the award, you lose the award, flex. After all, it's for Africa. A round of applause for Africa. And if you heard His Excellency, he did emphasize the importance of having our journalists, wherever you find yourself in Africa, tell the story. Every environment matters in Africa. By the way, we're glad to have the Honorable Minister of the Federal Ministry of Environment here in Nigeria. Is present here, Barrister Mohammed Abdullahi, ably represented by a distinguished gentleman who handles the human resource management. He's Director of Human Resource Management. Please welcome Mr. Lawrence Adigwe for a goodwill message. I would ensure you give him an environmental round of applause because he could do something about this environment.
Thank you, Tope. Your Excellencies and distinguished ladies and gentlemen in the House, I bring you warm compliments from the dynamic Honorable Minister of Environment, Barrister Mohammed Abdullahi, who would have loved to be here in person, but for some national assignments, as I speak to you, he's outside the country, and he has asked me to come and identify with you, and that is why I'm here. I'd come here with a prepared speech, but from what I can see, you have gone far into the program, and I'm coming here to give you goodwill message from the Honorable Minister of Environment. I want to thank the organizers of this media award. Your contributions are being felt everywhere. And I want to assure you that Federal Ministry of Environment will go with you all the way. We are willing partners in whatever you do to make the environment very safe for all of us. I welcome all our friends from far and wide, and I know you are really enjoying the hospitality of the Nigerian people from what I can see, and I wish you a very nice stay in Nigeria. Thank you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Please do give him another round of applause. So not a night that many of the journalists want to hear too many speeches because they are just waiting to see who wins. Is that it? That's what it is? But you see, the very next speech is such an important speech because it's that of the guest speaker. And it talks to the title, Media as Game Changer in Breaking African Agricultural Innovations into Palatable Information, Sweet Information. The gentleman to do this is a professor par excellence. He's a man who comes from a state in Nigeria called Adamawa State, a place where you can find different kinds of weather. When it is cool in Adamawa, it's really cool. And when it is hot, I can tell you, it can be hot. I was there last week. And he's a gentleman who has done a lot. When we talk about communications in Nigeria, he's a name you can reckon with anytime. Former Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies, Bayero University, President of African Communication Scholars and Professionals of Nigeria, ACSPN, is a member of UNESCO Network of Communication Professors, and is currently Vice Chancellor of the Federal University Gombe State. He has been appointed in 2007 precisely by UNESCO in Paris as a director representing Africa on 6 persons board of directors. And he's been recognized here and there, internationally and locally. He served as consultant for several organizations, including NSA, UNFPA, UNICEF, UNESCO, World Bank, Ford Foundation, and many others. I'm talking about a man who communicates all the time. He speaks communication, talks communication. I think he eats communication, and he walks communication. Please welcome distinguished Professor Umaru Pate as he speaks to us as our guest speaker for today. And I'm sure he will communicate. So get ready for communication. Prof, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Your Excellencies, the Honorable Minister, our DGs here present, particularly the DG of the agency, and the President of AITF. Specifically, let me recognize Dr. Ross, our great journalists from all parts of Africa, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Let me start by thanking the organizers for inviting me to be part of this great ceremony. For a long time, I've been following the activities of this agency, particularly OFAB. Sometimes I wonder whether Dr. Ross has a diploma or postgraduate diploma in journalism, or at least she has taken some courses in communication. For those of us who are regular listeners of radio in Nigeria, we hear a lot of commentaries on the significance and essence of biotechnology and GM food and all of that. I'm sure a lot of Nigerians are aware or have come to know a lot about biotechnology through the activities of OFAB. So I think you have been doing a good job, and you should continue. And this is one event that I think can strengthen the relationship between the media and, by extension, the members of the general public and the agency and what it does. I've been asked to focus on the theme of your activity for tonight, which is about the role of the media, or the media acting as a game changer in promoting agriculture. I started by acknowledging that the reality of our situation in Africa today is that agriculture occupies a significant position. It employs 70, 80, in fact, in some literature, you see up to 90% of our population. A lot of the income of our people come from agriculture. We are also aware of some of the issues that are affecting, in some cases, defining or redefining the nature and future of agriculture in this continent, which we have to address. What are some of these issues? One, the issue of our population. If you look at the latest statistics coming from the United Nations, Africa has about 1.4 something billion people. Globally, it contributes about, I think, 16% or thereabout of the total global population. Is it 16 or 20-something? Then our land is second in terms of size globally. Our population is also second in terms of numbers globally. Yet, if we look at our contributions in terms of agriculture, globally, it is far lower, which means feeding the number of people that we have is a challenge for us. Take Nigeria as an example. Our population currently, by UN estimate, is 216 million, and is still growing. Now, take a look at the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. We have barely 7 years to realize the objectives of the SDGs. How far have we gone? And at the rate we are going, can we, in all honesty, be justifiably optimistic that we can fulfill the goals of being able to feed our people independently without depending on other external sources for agricultural inputs or for the food itself? Then we look at the reality that the pandemic brought on us. When it came, what was our situation? When it dawned on us that we couldn't import food, we couldn't import agricultural inputs and other things from other parts of the world. What was our response, and how did we behave? So this should be an eye-opener for us, as well as a challenge for us to be able to know that all may not be well, except if we refocus on agriculture and address the basic issues that we are supposed to be responding to. Apart from that, what are some of the serious issues? One, conflicts. Take Nigeria as an example. The rate of conflicts in almost every part of this country is a major challenge on our agriculture. And it's not only Nigeria, several other parts of Africa. And wherever there is conflict, there's violence, certainly investors will not go, and money will not be there, because money is a fearful commodity that does not go to where it will be dealt with. Look at also the current devaluation of currencies in African countries and the inflationary trend that we have experienced in the last 2-3 years, which helped to shoot up the prices of almost everything, including foodstuffs. How can we continue with that? Add to the challenge of climate change that we are witnessing. Again, to my own country, Nigeria. Take the Lake Chad region. Some years back, I was involved in a study commissioned by the Food and Agriculture Organization shortly before the Boko Haram conflict. I was on the Lake Chad region for days. And what I saw then led me almost to predict in the report that I submitted to FAO that there will be a major explosive on that. I didn't know what was Boko Haram. I didn't think or alarm, but the social condition on the lake gave me the impression that all wasn't well. And at that time, the only presence of government I saw was tax collection on the islands. And there was plenty of money on the Lake Chad. Young people were making a lot of money. During the day, they will be on the waters, catch a lot of fish, sell. In the night, they will be dancing all night and partying all night. And every Nigerian was there. A lot of drugs. That was where I saw how people were boiling marijuana. Instead of smoking, they drink in cups. And a lot of other things. So it was like a ready force waiting to be mobilized. And somebody took the advantage of that. And today we are paying the price, all of us. And we did a calculation at that time. The amount of fish that was being taken out of the Lake Chad weekly, totally, I mean up to monthly and in a year, in billions of naira, not to talk of the onions and the rice. Today we have lost all of that. So other areas too, because of conflicts. The movement of cattle from the north to the south, movement of foodstuff in Nigeria, not to talk of other countries, are all affected. In the past, trains could take cattle from Maiduguri to Lagos without stress. Today we couldn't do that because of conflicts, because of so many other environmental factors. And as we have said, 70 to 80% of Nigerians get their income from agriculture. While the population is increasing, the opportunities are decreasing, the challenges are increasing. What will be the consequence for us? And how equipped are we in terms of managing these issues that all of us sometimes pretend they do not exist? Now, what of our own agriculture? Our agriculture is still majorly seasonal, mainly defined or dictated by environmental circumstances. Africa's agricultural sector, like I've said, experienced a lot of challenges: poor land tenure system, low level of irrigation farming, climate change, land degradation, low technology, high productivity. You know these things better than I do because you are in the business. Now, what is the connection with the media in all of this? Significant efforts and multiple bodies, including your own and the media, at different levels, are working to address the challenges of agriculture in Africa. Several levels. When I was the Dean of the School of Postgraduate Studies in Bayero University, I attended a meeting with the World Bank in Kenya. Bayero University is training postgraduate students from different parts of Africa in biotechnology. We have an excellent center of biotechnology sponsored by the World Bank. And there are several others that are producing wonderful research reports that continue to remain on the shelves of our libraries. Many research bodies, different directions, but all concerned with agriculture. These reports are available that could help to change a lot of things with regards to agriculture in Africa. But then, a lot of them remain on the shelves in the libraries, in the various offices, and hardly get to the end users. And this is where the media now come in. The media is obligated to cover and report agriculture as it's one of its major areas of interest. Like any other subject, agriculture also helps to produce news for media organizations to disseminate. But if you care to do a content analysis of most of our newspapers or even the content of our broadcast media organizations, you find that politics and political issues take dominant portion of our news reports on a daily basis, with little attention to other significant areas that concern human existence in our countries. Why is it so? Especially in this era of commercialization, where people pay for their stories to feature in media content. And agriculture, by its nature, may not appear so sensational that some of our journalists may want to focus their attention on. Not only that, science news generally appear a bit complicated and not so exciting like the political news and other socially oriented activities. So the media has that obligation, and it has to engage, as it has always been doing, in publicity, advocacy, mobilization and monitoring for accountability, and of course, for fundraising. What we do in the media is about information dissemination. And for communication, what is information? Information for us in the media means uncertainty reduction. When you reduce the level of uncertainty that exists on the mind of people, you are informing them. If you don't, you are misinforming them, malinforming them. So
the media helps to popularize and secure support for innovative ideas. Biotechnology, by its nature, is innovative. It's not something that we are used to seeing on a daily basis. Not only that, it has its own enemies. For whatever reasons, people have sometimes very strong opinions opposing some of the results that come through biotechnology. So it's the business of the media to promote such innovations, and also the issue of policies. Policies are define the framework within which so many things happen. If the policy is wrong, naturally, the contents and the direction may also not give you the desired result. So we need to have conducive policies. And then, of course, products and strategies from government and research institutions. It's the business of the media to promote all of that. Because the media has the advantage of reach, the advantage of range, and the advantage of credibility, as well as the advantage of capturing the attention of people. Not only that, it is cost effective. So because of that, naturally, people go to it when they want to disseminate information, especially to a larger level or a larger community. And the media also sometimes engages in investigative journalism to report breaches and inappropriate actions inimical or subversive to agricultural development and good governance in the sector. We see how people steal money, divert resources, misapply things that are meant for agriculture, fertilizer scandals, farm implement scandals, and at the end of the day, farmers become shortchanged. You see, in governance, there are two major areas. You have noisy areas and silent areas, like ASU. Ours is noisy, we make a lot of noise, so attention is focused. But agriculture is a silent area. When you misapply money in agriculture, it may not be known, but the consequence will be felt because people will be hungry. But in ASU, if you hold allowances, people will make noise, and so you give them and then, oh yeah, go away, go away, go away. But in agriculture, nobody talks. Nobody knows. So it is the business of the media to investigate and bring out some of these salient issues. Now, innovative and behavior change information. Like I've said, enormous innovative information is produced from various sources, like research institutions, universities, the MDS, companies, CSOs, the civil society organization, and many others. A lot of information. This is the era of information. But then, like I've said, farmers across Africa need to have access. It's one thing to produce the results, for example, in the seed multiplication unit of the institute in Abuja here. It's quite another for a farmer in Borno State to get access to the information easily and on time and make good use of it. And the issue of understandability too. So a lot of such information are technical. Our researchers who do it, they write it in their own language, sometimes published in journals that are not even accessible to some of us, even in Africa here. Some of us have published papers in Europe, in USA, and others. Our colleagues cannot even afford to buy them here. Yet, the results are needed more here than over there. So they are technical, one, and they are also elitist. Even our newspapers are elitist in orientation. And people at the lower level find it difficult to have access to some of these things, and mostly domiciled in inaccessible platforms to most lower level farmers. The media function here is acting as link to access, simplify, and serve as links to all the various publics. There are different publics. You have government or policymakers, they are one of the publics. You have suppliers, you have the farmers themselves. There are several groups that need information. So it is the business of the media to search, simplify, and report. Not only that, they also contextualize and give confirmation and validity to some of these facts in such a way that people can make sense within the context of their own communities for them to use this information. So we need the media, and not just the media, but informed media. So it can create public awareness. We have heard from the president, from the DG, they have all talked. This one is not just about awareness now. We are talking about knowledge.
Check.
So it creates public awareness, increase the level of knowledge and understanding, and of course, to change attitudes. That is the greatest goal. And changing attitude is one of the most difficult things in the social sciences. You have to work extra hard, understand why people develop attitudes, why they hold on to attitudes, and how to change their attitudes. It's not easy. Not only in the social, but even in agriculture. So, and then when attitudes are changed, behaviors are transformed. And once behavior is transformed, action follows. So, issue of engagement to energize society towards growth and development. It's not an easy thing. It's something that must be deliberately worked on. And it involves resources, it involves energy, it involves individuals who are well-informed and well-positioned. Otherwise, instead of informing, you end up misinforming. And when people can do that, especially in this era of proliferation of information sources, era of fake news, hate speech, and all of that. And when you talk of fake news, they are in three categories: misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. And as we have said, biotechnology has its own enemies. So easily and very sophisticated where people can propagandize and package information so sophisticatedly to the extent that except a refined and a sophisticated mind, it becomes difficult to understand. And when the information is so contextualized to an individual's level, so you have to work extra hard to change the narrative. What can the media do in this kind of circumstance? I believe the media, as we know them, or as we know the institution, hold individual institutions and organizations accountable. Number one, the issue of accountability in agriculture. Every year, at least in the Nigerian context, we hear huge budgets being allocated to agriculture. At the end of the day, when you compare the total yields and output in the agricultural sector compared to the resources pumped into it, what are we going to say? By now, after all what we have, Operation Feed the Nation, this and that, all the operations that we have had, and all the resources pumped into agriculture, Nigeria has no business importing a grain from outside Africa. Yet, what is our own situation? 62 years after independence, what are we still saying? And it is not only Nigeria. Go through all the African countries. What do you see? So, hence, the need for agricultural organizations and entities to collaborate and cooperate with the media in the legitimate interest of each voice to communicate. Each has its own legitimate interest. The media has the legitimate duty, which is constitutional, structural, psychological, and societal in terms of its own function, to inform, educate, and entertain. And other organizations also have their own duties. They have their own interests to promote their own mandates. Now, how do we collaborate so that each will respect the other party and then we work hand in hand? The media can request, and institutions and organizations are obligated or obliged to provide information in public interest. Sometimes, many of us in the universities and research centers are provincial and protective or territorial of our own interests. We do a lot of research. We don't even want to popularize such research. Once it is published in a journal, we are okay. So we need to develop platforms of engagement and relating with the media. Failure for timely and accurate information releases or responses can lead to rumors. When there's a gap, you are giving room for what? For rumor. Number two, it can, like I've said, lead to fake news. People can frame anything and go to town and say what they want to say. Then, of course, damaging lies, like in the case of the GMO foods. We know that there's serious shortage of food in Africa. We know that we need innovative ways to bring or to cultivate or to produce more food for our people to feed. Yet, people oppose the innovative means that are available for us to use and do that. And in many cases, we are not even aware that they exist. So the media has a business or has a role in all of this. Proactive and positive engagement can maximize impact and prevent disinformation, lead to better perception for positive attitude and, of course, action. It all boils down to issue of perception, understandability, attitude formation, opinion, attitude formation, action, then behavior change. So if we could have this chain and our people in the agricultural sector can understand the essence and engage the media, I believe we have, in the next 7 years, before the terminal date of the SDGs, a lot to do. We can work with the media, try to defeat some of these stereotypes, some of these lies that are in town about GMO foods and about biotechnology in general, influence our governments and policymakers to see the essence of investing in technology, because technology is the enabler for performance. If we're able to do that, then I think the media can be considered as a worthy partner, deserving of every attention and engagement by our agricultural experts, and for also our media organizations to respect and train themselves in the art and science of reporting science news. They need to understand how they could break or simplify what is complicated. And for that to happen, they also need extra efforts in terms of learning. On Monday, Nigeria will be launching a new national curriculum for mass communication and media studies. We are completely changing the curriculum for the training of media persons in Nigeria in the next years to come. That is curriculum for the training of the next generation of journalists. And I know, being the chair that led to working out the curriculum, that we have emphasized a lot on the issues of technology, on the issues of science reporting, as part of preparing the journalists who are going to serve the public. And we cannot also continue or in any way undermine the role of film and the social media. We have to emphasize on that. And of course, the issue of community broadcasting at the lower level. These are things I believe the agricultural sector can work with the media sector to ensure that they are operating all over. On this note, let me once again thank the organizers for inviting me, and thank you for your kind attention. I thank you all.
Thank you very much. I told you earlier that it will be information, and that's what it turned out to be. You want to give another round of applause to Professor Omar Pate, Vice Chancellor of Federal University, Kashare, Gombe State. Thank you very much, sir. Well, you see, I can tell, Your Excellencies, because myself haven't had the opportunity to participate on the hot seat that my colleagues are right now. When you are seated for an award like this, you're just waiting for that announcement. But you will agree with me that the information given by the guest speaker is news in itself. And it just took me back to the fact that I attended an international award where I was runner-up. I didn't win that year, but the guest speaker made some salient points, and I took note of those points. It formed part of my story for the next award, and I won that award. If you ask me, the things said by Professor Omar Pate are things that are award-winning. question is, if someone saw what he saw, probably the Boko Haram problem may, who knows, may have been nipped in the bud. If someone raised that alarm louder than a few people probably did, maybe some of those problems would have been solved. But Africa always has a way of coming out strong despite the challenges, and we will by the grace of God. Another round of applause for Professor. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if you listened to Professor Omar Opati's speech, he said that information is reduction of uncertainties in the populace. And here in Nigeria, one lady who's done that successfully, he also mentioned, who's ensured we have reduction of uncertainties when it concerns GM and biotechnologies, Dr. Mrs. Rose Gidado. Please give her a round of applause. Great job she's done in Nigeria. Nigeria celebrates you, Africa celebrates you, and I know the world will also celebrate you. If you want to clap, do it very well. Thank you very much. Next, I want to invite a gentleman who's worked very hard to put this together. You've heard his name before, tongue twisting, but not as much tongue twisting as some others. He is a gentleman par excellence, and will be telling us about Omar's achievement, a reflection on the 7-year journey. He's project manager for OFAB. Please welcome, distinguishedly, Mr. Vitumbiko Chinoko. A round of applause is good for this. By the way, Mr. Vitumbiko, the last consonants of your name suggest that you should come from southeast Nigeria. Because Biko in Igbo language means please.
Wow. Let me just say that I was stopped at the airport one day and I was asked if I'm Nigerian. Ladies, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, if I may indulge me that I stand on the existing protocols. This night is such a great night. And I know as Africa, we are not very happy tonight because Ghana lost. And our able MC tried to eulogize the loss, but I wasn't very sure if he was really eulogizing. The reason being that when Ghana qualified to the World Cup, I was actually here. And I know who made them qualify. So I'm not too sure if those eulogies were really genuine. But that as it may be, we still think that they really put up a good fight for Africa. And the few African nations that are still there are putting up a good fight. As I asked, let me once again stand on the existing protocols, and I really wish to just walk us through what OFAB, or the OMAS, has actually achieved over the years. Let me maybe before going straight to the OMAS, mention that we started, OFAB started in 2006 as one chapter in Kenya. And to date, we've grown to 10 chapters. And I'll allow the representatives of these chapters to stand so that those that are watching online could appreciate that this is indeed an Africa-wide event. In Southern Africa, we are in Malawi, where yours truly also comes from. May I ask delegates from Malawi to stand? And let's give them a hand. In Southern Africa, we are also in Mozambique. May I ask delegates from Mozambique to stand? East Africa, where AATF is headquartered, we're in a couple of countries in that region. May I ask delegates from Kenya to stand? My boss didn't stand. I don't know whether she has relinquished citizenship. May I ask delegates from Uganda to stand, and let's give them an applause. May I also ask delegates from the Great Republic of Rwanda? May I ask the honorable gentlemen and ladies from the Great Republic of Tanzania? In East Africa, last but not least, may I ask the delegates from the Great Republic of Ethiopia? Coming to the region where we are, OFAB is in three countries. Maybe the other one was a professor, so. May I ask the delegates from the Great Republic of Burkina Faso to
check.
Thank you, Burkina Faso. May I also ask the delegates from the Great Republic of Ghana? We are mourning with you. It will be well. Lastly, and indeed not least, may I ask the delegates from the Republic of Nigeria where we are tonight? Thank you, thank you. So, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, those are 10 countries that OFAB is working in, and that out of 54 countries in Africa represents 19% of the continent. When I say that OFAB is in 10 countries, sometimes it looks like that's more, but when you put it in percentage forms, there's still more ground to conquer. When we started the Media Awards, some 7 years ago, because this is the 8th, I wish to mention that ATF and OFAB in particular, we have indeed invested a lot in the Media Awards. Our calculation is that we've spent in totality in our media work, including the Media Awards, $5 million US since we started. And for this event in particular, we've spent $1.3 million US. It speaks to how serious we take the work of the media, and I think over the years, that investment has paid off. We've been able to train across the 10 countries now and we've also been able to train, in particular, 744 editors. What we haven't done very well is our gender parity. We've only been able to reach out to 34% of women journalists. And I think that's one of the things that we continue to encourage women. It's not very good, but we hope that we can improve on that. Over the years, we've also been able to reach out through our work of the media to about 12,840 policymakers through our media work. We've also been able to reach 24 million farmers through our work of the media and also our various engagements that we do. It is also interesting to note that on average, through the media and through our work in general, each chapter on average has 15 strategic partners, and those partners have helped us to push our work going forward. We've influenced about 12 laws and policies that have helped to deregulate crops in various countries. So in Kenya, using our engagement, we've been able to accompany the process on deregulation of cotton, maize, and we're hoping that more crops are going to come. In Ethiopia, we've been able to accompany the process to deregulate cotton and insect. In Nigeria, we've been able to accompany the process of deregulation on PBR cowpea, maize, and cotton. And most recently, in Ghana, we've accompanied the process of deregulating PBR cowpea. I think all this has actually happened because the media has played a critical role. And I don't think I can really say everything and exhaustively on how the media has helped us. It has been a lot of value to have you as our strategic partner. We know how much you are valued out there, and this partnership has really helped us to be able to reach, but more importantly, to demystify, to break down the information in bits that are able to be understood by the people on the ground. Going forward, we commit to continue to work with the media. We've done these media awards in this fashion that you've seen for the past 7 years. One of the things we want to do is to review it so that probably we can add more value to it, but not to abandon it. So it may come in a different shape next year, but surely our commitment on working with the media continues. In my own assessment, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, I think as OFAB, we are doing well, in as much as gaps could be there for improvement. And we hope that our work with the media, plus our work with the different governments who are hosting us in different countries, will continue to make a difference in making agriculture biotechnology a normal thing. Because now, every time you mention about agriculture biotechnology, it appears as if you are mentioning a taboo. We want to contribute to normalizing agriculture biotechnology in all our countries to a level where we can talk about agriculture biotechnology without anyone raising their hands or maybe looking over your shoulders. We are hoping that the 10 countries in which we are is not the end. We hope that maybe if we can come again to Nigeria in the next 4 years, we should be talking of covering 30% of Africa. And we can only do this with the help of the media. We can only do this with the help of our partner governments. We can only do this with the cross-section of partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen and Your Excellencies, this is the small thing I wanted us to share tonight in terms of where we're coming from, what we have achieved, and indeed the prospects that we have going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for Mr. Chinoko. Thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, OFAB and indeed by extension OMAS is doing quite a lot, and this will extend, and we're trusting that it will also bring great benefits to us all. We'll take a short break right now, and we invite our cultural troupe to take us through that short break. And hopefully this dose of short break will once again calm the nerves of our awardees. And while this goes on, we'll also be passing some information to our dignitaries privately. Please welcome them once again, the cultural troupe here, Abuja, Nigeria. sure you are fine with it? No, it won't. Trust me, it won't. Try to manage. And you were right. Ghana beat us the other time, so I'm angry.